Hello and welcome. I am Avichal Singh at PowerPivotPro.com. Just call me Avi. We have been blogging since 2009 and training people on PowerPivot and PowerBI. But let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you.
So you are a business user.
Let me ask you a question. Do you collect any data as part of doing your business? Well, you may have more data available to you than you realize. Sales data, gotta bring the money in. Hopefully you know a thing or two about your customers. There's product and market data about the industry, competitors, employees, their compensation, training, travel, performance. And in this day and age, let's not forget social. Facebook, Twitter, the works. But the real question is, what are you getting out of this data? Are you getting any insights? Insights that would help you better serve your customers. Insights that help you improve your product. Insights that help you edge out your competition. But you say, hey, I surely want that, but what are the real choices that I have? And unfortunately, when it comes to business intelligence, so far it had been a choice between a rock and a hard place. So on the x-axis here, I have the lifetime of your BI solution, and on the y-axis is the time and money cost. So you could go with spreadsheets, easy to begin with, but with escalating costs over time as they get more and more complex. It is not unheard of to have a monthly report that takes a week or two of hard manual labor to update. Your other choice is traditional BI, which claims that your ongoing maintenance costs after implementation would be low, which is arguably true, but requires a heavy investment of both time and money upfront. Buying the toolset, implementing it, and all the while the returns are questionable. I have seen many a large-scale BI projects after whose completion the business was still left scratching their heads. Are we faster? Are we smarter than before? And you certainly do not have the time or money to go through the whole expensive cycle again. What if there was another option, which offered low cost with sustained agility? Really, the best of both worlds. What if I told you the option was Excel, a tool you probably already have? Surprised? You should be. Meet the new Excel. Excel has some amazing sidekicks now in the Power BI family. There is Power Query to extract and load your data, Power Pivot to model and analyze. Power View and Power Map give you exciting options to visualize your data. And Power BI offers you the cloud platform with features like natural language Q&A. So let's see some of these tools in action. The first thing I'm going to do is start by pulling data into our data model. So Power Pivot is the data model tool, and I'm going to start by launching the PowerPivot window. So I'm going to go in the PowerPivot tab and click Manage. Alright, so this launches the PowerPivot window, and right now it's blank, but we'll go ahead and pull some data into it. You have a lot of options to pull data directly into PowerPivot, and whatever may be lacking, we'll see Power Query later on that can offer more options and certainly more flexibility in pulling data in. But for now, our data source is an Excel file, so we're going to click on Other Data Sources and pick Excel. Alright, let's select the Excel file that I have. Let's check this option. Click Next. And here are all the sheets, all the data in that Excel file. I'm going to actually select all of them and just rename them slightly. And just click Finish. Alright, our data is all loaded, and I can see that in these different sheets within the PowerPivot window. Alright, so we're going to take two steps with this data now. One, we're going to define relationships, and then we're going to define a measure or a calculated field. Now let's start with the relationship. I'm going to switch to the diagram view. Alright, and let's drag them all on the same page. So this is my data table. This has my sales data. I'm going to keep it at the bottom, and I have all these lookup tables up top. And in order to create a relationship, all you have to do is drag and drop the common keys that join these two data sets. So I'm going to start with product key, which connects me to the product lookup table, and I'll repeat that for all my other lookup tables. Perfect. Now let's lastly define a measure or a calculated field. So here I have the order amount, and I'm going to simply come to this column and I'll choose auto sum. Now if I click on this arrow, I have different options, but if I just click the button itself, I get a sum by default, which is good enough for me for now. I'm just going to change the name here where it says sum of order amount, and I'm going to call it sales. Let's also format this field to show as currency. Great. Well, there was no heavy lifting involved there, and let's see what we can accomplish with the work we have done so far. So I'll start by clicking on this pivot table link in the Home tab in PowerPivot, and this pops me over to Excel and asks me where I want to insert that pivot table. So I'll start off by selecting the newly created measure. And this comes as no surprise, right? That's what I expected from PowerPivot. If I look at the syntax, it's doing a simple sum of the order amount. But there is some magic involved here. Just watch this. With that same formula, just by leveraging the relationships that I've just defined, I can slice and dice this measure any which way that I want. I could see it by year. I could add month in there. Or I could use any of the lookup tables up top. So I can analyze it by customer, by product, by sales territory. Let's give that a try. Let's try an attribute in customer. Something in product. And finally, the sales territory. Now if you go back and look at the measure, this is the only place where this formula exists, where we define this formula. We didn't have to redefine it to say, hey, sales by year or month, sales by the customer attributes, or sales by product or sales territory. So PowerPivot introduces a very new paradigm where you define formulas once and use everywhere. They conform, they change, they adapt, and they give you the right answer regardless of the shape of the pivot. Contrast this to the Excel reports where you would end up with sheets and sheets filled with formulas, cross-referencing each other and just adding to the overall complexity of the report. Let's add a twist to things. Let's say we want to pull in some additional data, but this data does not live in a file or a database. In our case, this lives out on a web page. So here we are in the AdventureWorks business, and we're selling bikes and related products. So we are interested in the cycling fatalities. Let's use Power Query to pull this data in. Power Query certainly shines in these scenarios where you have to pull data from myriads of sources and you also have to shape them in some way before you can use them. So let's see how it's going to work. Alright, from the Power Query tab, I'm going to say I want to get some data from web. I'm going to copy paste the URL. Now Power Query scans the page and finds out elements which may be worth importing, and I can just hover over it to see a quick preview. This looks like the data set that I want, but it could use some shaping, so I'm going to select it and click Edit. This is the Power Query window, and most of the functions that you would use to transform and shape your data are available right up top in the ribbon. But there is also a pretty powerful language, M language, that you can use for further customization. So I'm going to step through a few of the transformations that I need to shape this data. Alright, perfect. Now that I'm done with all my transformations, you see all the steps are listed right here, and in fact I can go back to any previous step, and for some of these I can even change the selection. So for example, if the source moved, I can go back and specify that here. So really flexible tool, and comes in real handy. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to load it to my data model. You can also load it to an Excel worksheet, but hey, we want to send it to PowerPivot so we can combine it with our existing data model. Add this to data model, and there we go. Let's check it out. That's our new table, and the best part is that if the data were to update on the web page, simply your data refresh would pull in all the current data. So over here, let's look at the diagram view real quick. And I have my new table, but I still need to define some fields so I can link it to some of my existing lookup tables, at least the sales territory and the date. So let's do that really quick. Alright, I have the fields defined, so it's time to link. And let's see our pivot in action. Let us see our pivot in action. So we already have our sales measure here by country and year we have on the slicer, and we have selected the bike sales. And now let's plot our newly created measure based on the data set we just pulled in, and we can look at them side by side. Let's fancy it up a little bit. And there you go, we see it by country, and we can go on and analyze year by year. So PowerPivot is the engine the data model that will host all of your data. It will also host all of your business logic, which is going to be embedded in your measures, in your calculated fields. But once you have it, you have a choice to visualize it using one of many means. Excel certainly is a great tool, as you see here, in terms of pivot tables or graphs and charts. But there is another exciting tool which you can use to visualize information, and that is PowerView. Let's see that in action. So I'm going to go on the Insert tab on the ribbon and say I want to insert a PowerView report. Takes a few seconds to load. Let's try to build a high-level scorecard for our AdventureWorks dataset. So I'm going to start with our high-level number, sales. Let's format it to make it look a little bit prettier. And for this report, we will create it for a single year. So let's add a filter to select just the year we want to show. Alright, so let's start with some high-level breakdowns. I'll go back and grab my sales measure. And let's show this by the sales territory. And I will change that to a chart. I'll embed other layers within that, and you will see that in action later on. And I'll repeat the same steps to add breakdowns or trends to show over time and by product categories. Alright, now let's see this in action. So you can start with a high-level view, but pretty much every element within PowerView is interactive. So you can click on North America and the rest of the graphs filters down just to that. So you can see the trend for North America, see how much bikes they're selling and so forth. And I can do that same for these elements. I can select accessories and see the trend in that. And I have built in drill down to these, which you saw me just layering these different column attributes on there, and that enables me to simply double click on North America, see the detail. I can drill down further, United States, and see the individual regions. And again, the interactivity is still there. I can click Northwest and I can see exactly just the numbers for Northwest. Click anywhere outside to clear the filters, and I can drill up to go back, and I have the same drill down functionality over here in my product category. I can double click on accessories and I can see the subcategory detail. So just a quick example, but hopefully you see the power and ease of using PowerView as a reporting, as a visualization mechanism. Let's quickly review and get the lay of the land for PowerBI toolset. PowerPivot is the brain of the system. All data needs to reside in this data model. It also contains all your business logic as defined in your formulas. It really powers everything else. We saw that Power Query is an amazing way to feed data into PowerPivot. And finally, PowerView is an exciting way to visualize your data, but you do have many other options to choose from. Here are some of the advantages of Power BI. You can easily handle millions of rows of data. Quickly model and analyze by defining relationships that already exist within your data. It introduces a new paradigm where you only define your formulas once and use them everywhere. There's one-click refresh, and really you can also set up a fully automated refresh using one of the cloud or server options. Finally, these tools work better together to make your data shine. PowerPivot and Power BI comprise an amazing toolset, but it is not the hero of the story, nor is it Excel. The real hero in this story is you, the business user. The Power BI family is revolutionary only because it empowers and enables you, the business user, to drive data into insights that help your business.
Don't forget to check out all our other videos and subscribe to our channel. Power on, my friends.